The camping trip with my family was meant to be a peaceful escape from life's daily annoyances, but little did I know it would soon transform into an unforgettable and chilling experience. We arrived at the campsite with increasing excitement and started setting up our tents and chatting with each other. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a glow upon the forest, we gathered around the crackling campfire, its warm, flickering light dancing playfully on our faces. The night air was laced with the earthy scent of pine and the gentle rustling of leaves in the wind. The symphony of crickets and distant hooting of owls created a serene ambience that usually lulled me into a peaceful slumber. However, that night, tranquility gave way to an unsettling aura as the campfire's flames seemed to lose their cheerful vigor. Lying in my large tent, I noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. I suddenly couldn't hear any crickets, owls, or anything else that showed signs of life in the forest, just my own breathing. An eerie stillness settled over the forest, and a strange unease crept into my bones. My family members were in their tents and had fallen asleep almost instantly. Just as I was beginning to drift into sleep, my ears perked up at the sound of a distant growl. At first, I dismissed it as an ordinary forest noise, perhaps a wandering animal or the echo of a nocturnal creature's call. But the growl persisted, and it seemed to grow closer, more distinct. It was a low, guttural sound, causing the fine hairs on the back of my neck to stand on end. My heart quickened its pace, and I dared not move, afraid to draw any attention to myself. Even though I was feeling apprehensive, I couldn't help but wonder what it was that was lurking in the dark. So I got out of my tent and walked into the lonely forest. Unfortunately, it didn't take me long to find what was making the growling noises. Deciding it'd be best to turn back and go to sleep, I stopped from going deeper into the forest and was about to turn around. But that was when I saw it. There it stood, a monstrous form bathed in shadow, just beyond the reach of the dwindling campfire's light. My breath caught in my throat, and my pulse pounded like the thunderous hooves of a stampede. The creature, unlike anything I'd ever seen, seemed like a haunting amalgamation of a massive, ferocious canine and a man. Its eyes glowed unsettling red hue, piercing the darkness like fiery embers. Rows of razor-sharp teeth glistened maliciously, and its breath came out in growls that reverberated through the trees, sending fear coursing through my veins. In that fleeting moment, as my wide eyes locked with the Dogman's haunting gaze, I felt like an intruder into an ancient world, a trespasser amid the realms of folklore and legend. My mind struggled to comprehend the creature's existence, my thoughts ricocheting between rationality and the supernatural. Monsters aren't real, silly, I thought to myself. You're clearly seeing things. Fear paralyzed me for a moment, but a survival instinct took over, urging me to flee before too late. Without a second thought, I turned and ran as fast as my legs could carry me, guided only by the adrenaline coursing through my veins. The darkness seemed to envelop me like a suffocating shroud, but I pushed forward, knowing that the safety of our campsite was the only sanctuary left for me. Breathless and wide-eyed, I burst into my family's tent, trying to explain what I had just witnessed without taking the time to catch my breath. My voice trembled as I recounted the encounter with the terrifying Dogman, but their sleepy eyes looked at me with disbelief. They assured me it was probably just my imagination running wild because of the spooky forest. Annoyed, they told me to go back to sleep and brushed off my concerns, attributing them to nothing more than the imaginings of an overactive mind. Could you believe this? Reluctantly, I crawled back into my tent, still trembling with fear and uncertainty. I could hear the faint crackling of the campfire and the rhythmic breathing of my family, but my mind was fixated on the chilling encounter I just experienced. Every rustle of leaves or snapping twig outside amplified my anxiety, making sleep feel like an impossible feat. As I finally forced myself to lay down and close my eyes, I swear I saw its shadow against my tent and heard it sniffing the tent and growling softly. And hoping it was my eyes and ears playing tricks on me, I forced my eyes shut, curled into a ball, and stayed as still as humanly possible. It felt like an eternity before slumber finally found me, but even in my dreams, the menacing image of the Dogman haunted me. Its red eyes stared into my soul, and its growls echoed into the depths of my subconscious. I tossed and turned, unable to escape the clutches of the night's unsettling encounter. Morning eventually came, bringing with it a sense of relief and security. The sun's warm embrace brushed away the last remnants of darkness, and as we hiked back to civilization, the tranquility of the day began to soothe my troubled mind. Yet I couldn't shake off the feeling that the Dogman might still be lurking in the shadows, watching us from afar. When we got home, I tried to convince myself that maybe I just imagined the whole thing. But a part of me couldn't forget what I saw and heard that night. It would always be a mysterious and scary memory, a strange encounter with something I couldn't explain, something that made me see the wild forest in a whole new way. It taught me to be respectful of nature and its mysteries, and that sometimes things can be way scarier than we ever imagined. After all, thinking about it, all it ever did was stare back. But after learning about the existence of other entities and never before, what do I know? That's another story done. Thanks for taking the time to listen to it, and hopefully you had a good experience. See you on the flip side.